Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a widowed gentleman and his lovely daughter, Ella. Ella was a beautiful girl. She had golden hair and her eyes were as blue as forget-me-nots. The gentleman was a kind and devoted father, and he gave Ella everything her heart desired. But he felt that she needed a mother, and so he married again, choosing for his wife a woman who had 2 daughters of her own. Their names were Anastasia and Drizella. The gentleman soon died, and then the stepmother's true nature was revealed. She was only interested in her ugly, selfish daughters. The stepmother gave Ella a little room up in the attic, old rags to wear, and all of the housework to do. Soon everyone called her Cinderella because she got covered with the cinders from cleaning the fireplaces. But Cinderella had many friends. The old horse and Bruno the dog loved her. The mice loved her too. She protected them from her stepmother's nasty cat, Lucifer. 2 of her favorite mice were Gus and Jacques. Cinderella was kind to everyone, even to Lucifer. But Lucifer only took advantage of her kindness. Lucifer liked to get Cinderella into trouble. One morning, he chased Gus onto Anastasia's breakfast tray. She screamed and blamed Cinderella. As punishment, the stepmother said to Cinderella, "You will wash the windows, scrub the terrace, and sweep the halls. Oh, and don't forget the laundry." In another part of the kingdom, the king was worrying about his son. "It's time the prince got married," he said to the duke. "But sire," said the Grand Duke, "he must fall in love first." "No buts about it. We'll have a ball tonight. It'll be very romantic. Send out the invitations." When the invitation arrived, Cinderella's stepmother announced, "Every girl in the kingdom is invited to the ball in honor of the prince." "Why, that means I can go too," said Cinderella. "Well, yes," said the stepmother with a sly smile, "but only if you get all of your work done first, and only if you have something suitable to wear." Well, Cinderella had hoped to fix her old party dress, but Anastasia and Drizella wanted her to help them first. The stepmother kept her busy too. Cinderella worked hard all day long, and when she finally came back up to her little attic room, it was almost time to leave for the ball, and her dress wasn't ready. But the loyal mice had managed to find ribbons and bows, sashes, ruffles, and all sorts of nice things. The mice had sewn them together on her party dress, and it looked beautiful. The stepsisters shrieked when they saw Cinderella. "Those are my ribbons, that's my sash," and they tore her dress to pieces. "Come on now, girls," said the stepmother. Cinderella ran into the garden. She wept and wept and wept. Suddenly a hush fell over the garden, and a cloud of light began to twinkle and glow all around Cinderella's head. "Come on now, dry those tears," said a gentle voice, and then a small woman appeared in the cloud. "You can't go to the ball like that. Now, where's my magic wand?" "Magic wand?" gasped Cinderella. "Are you my fairy godmother?" the woman replied, pulling her magic wand out of thin air. "What we need is a pumpkin." A cloud of sparkles floated across the garden. A pumpkin rose up and swelled into an elegant coach. The mice turned into horses, the horse turned into a coachman, and Bruno became a footman. "Now off you go, dearie," said the woman. But my dress," said Cinderella. The fairy godmother looked at it. "Oh, good heavens!" She waved her wand and she turned Cinderella's rags into an exquisite gown. On Cinderella's feet were 2 tiny glass slippers. "Now remember," said the fairy godmother, "you must leave the ball at midnight. That is when the spell will be broken and all will be as it was before." Cinderella promised, and she stepped into her magical coach and swept away to the palace. When Cinderella arrived at the ball, the prince was yawning with boredom. Then he caught sight of her, and ignoring everything around him, the prince walked over to her. He kissed Cinderella's hand, and he asked her to dance, and they swirled off to the ballroom. The prince never left Cinderella's side. They danced and danced together all night long. As everyone watched them, the lights dimmed and sweet music floated through the air. And then Cinderella started to hear the clock chime. "Oh no," she said, "I have to go." "Wait," said the prince, "come back." But Cinderella hurried down the palace steps, and in her haste, she lost one of her glass slippers. But she had no time to pick it up, so she leapt into the waiting coach. As soon as the coach went through the gates, the magic spell broke. Cinderella found herself standing by the side of the road, dressed in old rags, and on her foot was 1 glass slipper. Her coachman was an old horse again, and her footman was Bruno the dog. Her coach was an old hollow pumpkin, and the horses were 4 of her mouse friends. They looked sadly at Cinderella, and then they all hurried home. They had to be back before the others got there. The next morning, the stepmother told the girls that the Grand Duke was coming to see them. He is searching the whole kingdom for the young lady who fits the slipper. Whoever she is, she gets to marry the prince. Cinderella smiled and hummed a very waltz that had been playing at the ball. The stepmother grew suspicious at that, and she locked Cinderella up into her attic room. Gus and Jacques had a plan to help Cinderella. While Anastasia and Drizella tried to squeeze their big feet into the slipper, the 2 mice sneaked into the stepmother's pocket. They got a hold of the key, tugged it all the way up the stairs, and unlocked the door. Cinderella rushed downstairs just in time to try on the glass slipper. "Your Grace," she said, "may I try on the slipper?" The wicked stepmother fumed with anger. She tripped the page who was holding the glass slipper, and it fell to the floor and broke. "Don't worry," said Cinderella, reaching into her pocket. "I have the other one right here." She put on the slipper, and obviously it fit perfectly. From that moment on, everything was a dream come true. Cinderella went off to the palace with the happy Duke. The prince was overjoyed to see her, and so was the king. Cinderella and the prince were soon married, and in her happiness, Cinderella did not forget about her animal friends. They all moved to the castle. Everyone in the kingdom was delighted with the prince's new bride, and Cinderella and the prince lived happily ever after.